Welcome to What's the Buzz, the podcast that spotlights local business leaders, bold ideas, and the heartbeat of the South Shore. Produced by Marshfield Community Media and recorded at South Shore Hive, each episode features authentic conversations that inspire, inform, and energize. Whether you're starting out, scaling up, or giving back, this is where connection meets community. Buzz by and see what's happening. This episode of What's the Buzz is brought to you by Cote Law Group, trusted legal counsel for today's business leaders. From startup formation to contracts and corporate guidance, they're here to help your business thrive. Hi, everybody. Valerie McSorely with another episode of What's the Buzz, where we talk to South Shore's movers and shakers. And my guest today is no exception to that. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Amber Bartlett of Barker House Consulting. Hi.
Hey.
This is so fun to have you.
I know. I'm very excited.
This is very exciting. Okay. So tell people, because I could go in a million directions, but I want to let you start. Tell people who you are and what you do.
Absolutely. So as Dr. Amber Bartlett and owner of Barker House Consulting, I always say I am something that we call a business psychologist, which is, kind of a bit of a unicorn. There's not a ton of us out there. But what that really means is that I work with other small business owners around everything from their people to their processes to driving profits. And so, anything that comes in between there, your communication, what's working, what's not. I'm ready to scale. I'm getting too much work. I'm not getting enough work. Those are the kinds of things that we combine the psychology of being a business owner and your unconscious beliefs and why you make decisions, the reasons that you do that, into actually driving tangible results for your business.
So it sounds like a lot, but you have a really nice process, and I can speak because I actually did this with you earlier this year, and it was completely game changing for me. So you sit down, you go through a process. It was very intense, I will say. But when I came out of the other side, it was so worth it. So people have different minds. What can you tell me about mindset and how that impacts your output and your beliefs and your results, really?
Absolutely. That's a great question, because I think a lot of times that's a key component that's missed, right? Because we are human and, we have unconscious beliefs. We have subconscious drivers as to why we're doing what we're doing, but we don't consciously know that's happening. We just know, well, I'm going to procrastinate here. Or I don't like doing that, so I'm not going to do it. But if we can really dig into, why and understand why we are or not doing something, then we can either start doing it or stop doing it, right? Which is always going to positively impact relationships and business. So I think, I don't think you mind, like even our work together, right? Mm-hmm. The first thing that I like to focus on is that mindset and being able to tie your intellectual knowledge, which most business owners, we get into business for ourselves because we have some kind of knowledge or expertise, that we're good at or that we know everything about. And so we can intellectually say, I know that. But it's the emotion behind it that is really going to maximize that intellectual knowledge. So it's really combining those two together. And so I think even, you and many other clients, that's what they say. Yeah, that was hard. Like, I don't want to deal with that. I don't want to focus on, my unconscious beliefs behind money. But once you do it, it's almost like this burden is lifted. It's this freedom to really focus now on what you want to focus on, because you're not being held back by something that you don't even know is holding you back.
Yes. And it was quite an experience. I remember after our work together that first time, I just went home and I just sat on the couch exhausted. But then I woke up and I felt really refreshed. And I felt like, I have like a great resource, a great partner to help me solve through some challenges, work through some things that really should just be addressed. And it felt like kind of like a floss for some of the mental floss for some of the pieces that need some sharpening.
Yeah, no, that's a great way of putting it. And it is, it's never, and I always say that up front when I'm beginning with a client, it's not going to be easy. Like being a business owner is not easy. And
if it is, everybody would do it.
Exactly. And they're not all cut out for it. But if you are even, inclined to get into business for yourself, you're wired differently and you're meant to do this. So just, let's figure out how you can do it. Feeling like doing it the best way for you, not doing it the best way for anyone else. It's the best way for you. And that's, a lot of times, even business owners, we get into it thinking, okay, I'm just going to work harder and I'm going to push harder and I'm going to get more results. It doesn't have to be that way. You've just created yourself a job, not a business. So let's figure out how to get you to a point where you stay connected to the passion and the why of why you started your business in a way that also gives you the time and financial freedom, which is the reason most of us go into business for ourselves, right? To do things the way we want to do it on our timeline and make the kind of money that we want to make. That's what we want.
Right. Because your work should energize you. It should not drain you. And when you feel like exhausted by the process, when you lose that sense of excitement and why you really got started in the first place, that's a good time to do some work with Dr. Amber.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah.
So if you're just listening and you're new to this whole concept, because you were the first person that I've met like this, that does what you do. So how did you get started? What was your drivers?
Yeah, that is another great question. So I am what I call myself a corporate dropout. So I worked in corporate, for years and years. And I knew that even being in a corporate environment, I was interested enough in the business side, but it was really that human side of the business that really intrigued me and really drove me. And so it was always kind of that, psychology component, but I knew I didn't want to go the therapy or the clinical route. And so I just, kept moving up and up in corporate, just focused on that human element. And then I'm also a total, education nerd and knew that I wanted to get to that, what I considered the pinnacle. I wanted my doctorate, but I didn't know what I wanted it in. And so it took me that long to kind of reconcile and find the program where I could go in the psychology route. And that didn't mean that I had to do clinical. I could focus on human nature and behavior within organizations. And so that's how, I kind of came to do. And then I always say I climbed that ladder because I'm very goal oriented. So I climbed the corporate ladder. I got to the top. I looked around and said, I don't want to be up here. Like, I don't like this up here. It's because I want to do things in the way that I believe help people the most. I want to do it, in a way that I can combine the expertise and the experiences that I've had and help others so that they walk away saying exactly what you said, like, whoa, like I've never experienced that before. I didn't even know that existed. That's what I want to give other people. And so that's why I was finally like, I'm going to drop out of this whole corporate world and I'm just going to go out on my own and see what happens and hopefully impact some lives along the way.
Well, you have such great energy. And one thing I did with you that was really, really fun is that we had a whole group together and we went around the room and people were talking about some of their challenges. And then you just sort of popped up at the end and you went and I don't want to say diagnosed, but you were able to pinpoint for every single person in that room what their obstacles were, what their challenges were, what was holding them back. And it was like magic. And I was in awe of watching you really work and do that. And it was awesome. Awesome to see. Now, do you have a niche?
It is. So the way that I chose to niche, I don't know what
I know. There's a niche. People say,
it's
tomato.
Whatever. Yes. Maybe I just want to feel fancier. But so my niche/niche, I decided because what I do can do is so applicable to so many different industries, I decided to niche more on the challenges and pain points that I can help solve as opposed to a specific industry. Okay. So the way that I think of it is, I can work with any business owner as long as they are in a space where they're struggling with burnout, employee management, client experience, so there's very specific points of being a business owner that I like to focus on. And so that's kind of, how I niche. If you find yourself at a place where, you were a solopreneur and now you're at the point where you're like, I can't do this by myself anymore. It's time to scale. I love that. And I will, we'll get you to a point. If you feel like I just created myself a job and I'm completely burned out and is that what I'm destined for the rest of my life? No. And, let me fix that. So hopefully that answers your question. It's not industry specific. I can work with any business owner, but it's business owners that are specifically looking, maybe they don't even know yet, but they just know this is what I'm struggling with and I don't know what to do with it.
And I think it's really common because I think as business owners, we think we have all the answers and it's hard to reach out and it's hard to ask for help because you're the one that's usually supposed to have all the answers. So it creates an interesting challenge and people don't know where to find someone like you. So if you are a business owner and you do want to get to the next level and level up and remove some roadblocks and just have a serious, trusted conversation, what would be the best way for people to reach out to you?
Yep. So I'm easy to find on LinkedIn. Obviously, it's just, Dr. Amber Bartlett. You can go to my website, barkerhouseconsulting.com. Easy to do that. And then, even email, you can reach out to me on email and it's just my name, Amber at barkerhouseconsulting.com.
Awesome. Well, I want you to buzz by anytime you'd like. You always bring great resources and wonderful energy, and we love having you here. So buzz by. Don't be a stranger.
Will do.
And thanks again. And thanks everybody for joining us for another episode of What's the Buzz. Be sure to buzz by again for South Shore's most interesting people. Bye-bye. This episode of What's the Buzz has been brought to you by Cote Law Group. We thank you for your generous support. When it comes to wills, trusts, and estate planning, they're the team you can trust.